There you go. Recording is in progress. And you didn't even know it. All right. So we've explained that the tzaddik has Mamshala. Tzaddik has the dominion. And the main dominion of the tzaddik is the reason why he got this kind of authority and power is to awaken Yidden to Avodas Hashem. That is the reason why the tzaddik has the dominion. Now, we said that the mechanism of the dominion of the tzaddik has a formula that is called malufim. Malufim is originally it's actually a vowel. In modern Hebrew, it's called shuruk. You write it with the letter vav with a dot inside. The dot inside of the vav is actually a yud. Yud inside the vav constitutes a vowel. Vowel u, shuruk. So the interrelationship between the dot and the vav is, as it were, the media, screen, upon which the hashpah, the movie, as it were, that is projected from the very same way, in the old movie houses of old, there's a lens, right? And the light comes out of the lens, it comes on a screen. You see the picture on the screen. So that kind of interrelationship, you have the image projected on a receptacle on the screen, is the same principle as malufim. The yud is the source. And this is the yesod, the tzaddik, that projects. And the heart is the screen. So we said that there are a few such manifestations of malufim. It's almost like a fractal principle where it works on many different levels. The same principle works on many different levels. So you have the Sersa Dibros and the Luchais is a malufim, because you have 10 Dibros, which is Yud. You have the Luchais. The Luchais have the dimensions of Shishat Tfachim al Shishat Tfachim. 6 Tfachim up, 6 Tfachim wide. So you see that the aspect of 6, which is a vav, is represented in this interrelationship between the Sersa Dibros and the Luchos. The Sersa Dibros is the message, right? And the Luchos are the medium upon which the message is written. The same principle of malufim, of single point of chokhmah projecting on a media, is the Torah with the entire world. The Torah is the chokhmah. It's called the chokhmah. Chokhmah is, that's the you, that's the source. And the world is the vav. But the world was created in 6 days, right? So that's the aspect of vav that encapsulates the entire world. So the relationship between the Torah and the entire world is a malufim, a projection from the chokhmah onto the vav, which is the heart, which is the being. Another such relationship, another manifestation of the same principle of malufim is, the tzaddik and his people. The tzaddik, is the chokhmah, and all the people around him which support him financially. They call tamchi araisa. Tamchi araisa, that's the vavaya amudim. These are the pillars upon which the Torah stands. It's called vavaya amudim, the hooks of the amudim. But vav is on vav, 6. So all those compared to the tzaddik are the vav. They are the meaning that the screen on which the tzaddik projects the chokhmah. Now, every single person by himself, his mouth represents the chokhmah. Pi yedaber chokhmas. My mouth will speak chokhmah, so the mouth is chokhmah. Mipiv das utvuna, from his mouth comes das utvuna. Allah gus libi, and the ruminations of my heart, the thoughts of my heart, the hagus libi tvuna, it's tvuna, it's bina. So when a person speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's basically, who you're talking to? You're talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But basically, you're talking onto your own heart. Your heart receives your deburim. And it is, when your heart answers back, it's the answer of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to you through your heart. We spoke about it quite at length, that what does it mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to you through your heart? It means that you're talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu about something, and suddenly in your heart you understand something about, you hear a message that you've probably heard, 100 times before. And you always knew it as something theoretical, En Yisrael B'lo Avon, Yetzirah is for Bechira, all these truths that we know to be right, but it doesn't shine to us. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't illuminate, it doesn't give you chayus. It's just like, okay, so I know it, but it's not. I can say it pretty nicely, I can talk the talk, but walking the walk appears to be a lot more difficult. So when your heart suddenly comes back to you, you feel like an urge from inside your heart, saying something to you, something that you always knew to be true, and suddenly it shines. Suddenly you go like, wow, that means that your heart is open to you. It's not the heart telling you, so let me teach you something, and it's something that you've never known. So that's not what we're talking about. This is people that they put usually in padded cells. We ain't talking about that. Talk about when your heart tells you something that's negate to you at this particular point in time, you come to Kadosh Baruch Hu and you discuss with him a certain point that you just can't handle, or you don't know what to do about, or whatever it is. And you talk to Kadosh Baruch Hu about it, and suddenly, in your heart, you understand something about this. That, not that you never understood before, you always knew it, but you never really understood it, never really got it. I gave you an example, this is the same example again. I have a lot of complaints against myself. Why don't I do things that I know I should do? And it can be very frustrating. Here I go again. It's like somebody who has holes in his socks because he forgot to clip his toenails. Again, you're promising yourself, I'll clip my toenails. And there I go. I made a hole in my socks again. It's like this is just a little tiny little silly example, but it's something that is like repeated. In more significant things in my life, and so while I was talking onto my heart about this, I was laying this thing down and speaking about it from my own heart. The thought came out, when were you ever different? When were you ever different in your life? So I answered, never. I was always like that. I don't say why focus on that. Maybe that's just supposed to be. That's the way you're supposed to be. That's your role. Damn. It's incredible. I never thought about that. I mean, I could wax poetically about this till the cows come home. But I keep on being upset with myself. Why am I not A, B, C? Why can I A, B, C? Or why can I not, X, W, Z? Why, So, being it, I was probably a little honest in that particular time. So my heart was okay. Were you ever different? Were you like a world beater and suddenly you became, a lazy bum? And the answer, no, I was always like that. So is it possible that this is the way that you're supposed to be in this Gilgal, this incarnation? All right. That means that your heart speaks to you. It's not something outlandish. It's not something like, I still have to work on it. I still have to, make progress. But I should be happy when the progress is 1% more every day, or 0.5% more every day. I want my deliverance to be the way that I envision it. That I want to be a doer, a go-getter, and lo and behold, I'm putting on the Superman cape and I got everything done, before 10 o'clock in the morning. And from 10 o'clock and on, I'm open to new ventures, whatever it is. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. I might be able to wake up half an hour earlier, a few days, and fall back to the way it was. If I manage to rejoice on those few days that I managed to wake up early, I'm doing my role. I'm listening to my heart. I'm listening to a sechel amiti. But if no, that's no, that's Yetzirah. I'm not supposed. I've been doing that for many, many years, feeding myself up why I cannot be whoever it is that in my fantasies I should be. What do you mean fantasies? Every person's supposed to do, you're supposed to. What happens if you can't? Okay, so you try the best you can. And if you make a little bit of an advancement of progress, that's wonderful. Then you are serving Hashem on Hashem's terms. You're not serving Hashem on your terms. Hashem terms is, you want to know what Hashem terms? Look at your life. But somehow, I have this picture in my mind of the way things are supposed to be. Oh, I'm supposed to agree with me to everything that I'm saying. My kids are supposed to do whatever it is that I tell them. They're supposed to joyfully do the chores around the house, and a lot of different things that I have in my mind that's the way it really is supposed to be. And as long as it's not that, it's all messed up.
What if somebody hacks you about the fact that you aren't cutting your toenails? What if they hacked about it? You've accepted it in yourself, but someone says, "Oh, you know what I'm saying."
Yes.
Yourself. So then, how do you deal with that?
I tell two things about this. A, once you are okay with it, they will be okay with it too. You would be amazed how much they actually hug you because they receive a coded message from you that you are unhappy about this. So they are helping you. Whereas a good wife, she does what her husband wants. The husband's upset with himself, so his wife, he's a good woman, she's giving him the word for. It's amazing. Let's say that you really came to peace with it, and whoever it is still hacking you or China about it. Says the perseverance. It atones for whatever it needs to atone. It's still okay. It's still a Kodesh Baruch Hu talking to me. Now, I know that all this that I'm telling you is a lot easier said than done. I know that. I'm grappling with exactly the same difficulties. But the fact that I myself am grappling with it doesn't make it less true. You see, there is, so what we spoke about in the other year. When your heart is connected to the Chochmah, the Shleimus, it keeps on getting thrown off. But when your heart is mechubat to the Chochmah, the Shleimus, you experience calmness that is in the eye of the storm. Around you, there's a cyclone going on of all the different things that are against the way that you would want them to be. Could be family, could be health, could be anyone, or a lot of different things. Inside the very core of that cyclone, there is Emunah. As Rabbeinu said, Torah Aleph, when the Chochmah and the Malchus are connected, when your Emunah and reality, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu presents it to you, are connected as one, you experience peace. I'll give you an example that is very easy to understand. How come you are not upset that you have never, ever led a team to win the Super Bowl as a quarterback? How come you're not spending sleepless nights? But you've never done that. How come you don't turn yourself asunder? Great word, isn't it? That you have never been, at the plate, 2 runs down, 2 strikes down, 2 outs, 2 on base, and you swung the bat and, the 7th game of the World Series, and you had a home run. How come you never spend sleepless nights that you have never, ever done that? And chances are you never will. I know that. I realize I'm going out on a limb here by saying that you never will, because you never know, right? Never say never. But how can you be so calm about that? Because you are absolutely okay with the notion that it's not again to you. It's not shaykh to you. It's not your reality. But the closer things seems to you in your own mind to be, close to you, the more agitated about them you get. What happens if when you have a total presence of mind, your emunah is perfect. Take it for instance, right? That means that whenever it is you see a need, whenever it is you see a lack, by yourself, by your family members, by people, whatever it is, you move to help. You move to fix, right? Every person needs to say the world was created for me, for my sake, right? And the idea is that you're supposed to fix everything. Everything that comes to you your way, you're either supposed to fix it, as much as you can, or you're supposed to daven for it. That's the reason why it came your way. What happens if something that you can't do anything about? One of the things which are harder to actually internalize is the fact that the things that you can do nothing about, you're not supposed to worry about. I mean, a skirmish amongst the Zulus in South, in Africa. What can I do? I am not, or whatever, a tsunami or whatever. There's nothing I can do. I can daven because God was such, bring Mashiach and peace, of the world and everything is, but the same thing has to do with my own thing. This is the Pia Dabra Chachmas Hagus Libi Tvunos. Alas, this is the ideal. Reality is that I've been through whatever it is that I've been through. I've done whatever it is that I've done. Most of it I wasn't even aware of. Chances are I'm still not really aware of what it is that I'm doing. Yeah, I have an idea, but not exactly how meaningful the infractions are. The result is that I have charpa. I'm blaming everybody and his uncle for my mistreatment. It's their fault, obviously. Yeah, I'm not Tal Shikulat Chelas, right? I'm not saying that I am, I'm the, I don't know, Mahatma Gandhi or something. I'm not saying that, I'm Mr. Dudley Good, do right. I'm not saying, but hey, that doesn't mean that she's supposed to do that, and he's supposed to do that, and they're supposed to do that. B'kitzur, the result is that my heart is shattered. Cherpa shara libi. In this, Rabbeinu says in Siman Zayin, we already went through it, but let's run through it. Ksalev haynu b'chinas vav, the heart, which is Siman Zayin. Torah Lamedalet Siman Zayin. When the heart, which is a vav, b'chinas luchos, these are tablets, u'meshuga ba'abasros. Basically, what it means, it's like you take a spray can, you go to a movie theater, and the screen, they call the silver screen, right? They call the silver screen. And you take a spray can with black spray, and you go, the little ball in there that makes up the spray can, and you write on it, Aaron Pinchas is a thing on the screen. It doesn't matter. It's a word Mad Magazine you see. It's a mad world. It's okay, whatever it is. Any movie that you'll play on it will always have that epitaph in the background. You'll never be able to experience, right, the movie and get into allow yourself to get into the illusion of the movie if there is this kind of graffiti on the screen, right? There's a cherpa shara libi. When the screen is verschmutzt with graffiti of Ahavas Rus, the light of the Chochmah cannot shine. The heart is broken. The screen is inoperable. And the heart is steeped in bad loves, lusts, cravings. The love is in the heart. With it's derisions and humiliations. It's as if I am deriding the Kodesh Baruch Hu. I'm humiliating Kodesh Baruch Hu by watching, looking when I'm not supposed to, reading when I'm not supposed to, saying when I'm not supposed to, behaving when I'm not supposed to. I'm shaming Kodesh Baruch Hu. I was born to elevate the Kodesh of Hashem. That's what I exist for. Now, there are things that I do that it's Chil Hashem in a way that everybody recognizes this is Chil Hashem. But there are also things that I do that to the entire world to look like, all right, nothing wrong with that. But I know. Because I know what's going on in my own head. I am deriding and humiliating Kadosh Baruch Hu between me and him. That's already Chil Hashem. That means that my heart is sunk in Ahavas Rus. We learned an amazing thing in Sichas Haran, it's Shabbos, that it was last week, that Yisurim that a person has because of Yis Shemayim give him life. I'll explain.
Because of your Shemayim?
Yeah.
I would have Yisurim because of Yisurim.
Because I did something I shouldn't, and I feel a pang in my heart. That's Yisurim. But it's Yisurim that comes out because I did something wrong. Rabbeinu calls it Yisurim that comes out of Yis Shemayim, and he says it adds life. It adds life. It adds longevity. He says usually regular Yisurim, they shorten a person's life. But Yisurim that come to a person because of Yis Shemayim, because of Yis Shemayim, because I did something I should not have done. And I'm going, oh, I can't believe I did that. You know, and what am I going to do after 120 years?
I mean, it seems like they did wrong or right or.
I did wrong. I did wrong.
Yeah.
And
Well, how could have I done that?
yeah, whatever, you know, whatever my inner dialogue
Yeah.
is, you know, somebody once said that, what is a monologue? A monologue is one person speaking to himself. And what is a dialogue? Dialogue is two people speaking to themselves. Speaking to themselves. You know, so what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to present to you these two aspects. One of them is the fact that when I'm doing something wrong between me and me, quote unquote, it's a Ahavas Rus, and it sinks my heart into cherpa, into shame, like you're taking a tea bag and dunking it in a cup of tea. Worse, I am dunking the Kodesh Baruch Hu in places that should not be mentioned. That's the bad side. On the other side, the fact that I'm bothered by it, the fact that I'm worried by it. And Rabbeinu says, the quicker you are worried by that, preferably while you're going through it, if you're already going through it, oh man, I'm really going to get it. You keep on doing it, but you're already worried about. Rabbeinu says that makes your tshuva that much easier. Because tshuva has to be equal to the kind of pleasure that you derive from the avera. I mean, what kind of an avera is this? If while you're doing the avera, you're already unhappy that you're doing it, that's not your 4-star deluxe AAA avera, right? I mean, it's like what can you do? I mean, yeah, it's hard, put you down with it. But while you're already, oh man, I can't believe I'm doing this again. This in itself, this kind of Yisurim in themselves give you longevity, and they make the tshuva that much easier. But nevertheless, you have to do tshuva. So Rabbeinu says the cherpos and bizinos, they're called orlos halev. They're called the skin that covers the heart. Then the heart is considered not a complete heart, but a broken, a shattered, a fractured heart. Shiver luchas. Shiver luchas. The completeness of the heart in the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That means the heart is complete. When you take HaKadosh Baruch Hu's loves and you put them when you're not supposed to, when you take the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you put it where you're not supposed to put it, that's called Shivra Luchas. That's a broken heart. And then Rabbeinu says the Cherpa and Orla are the same thing. Because the Shvatim, Rav Shimon and Levi, when Shechem took Dinah, they told him, we cannot give our sister to somebody who is uncircumcised. It's a cherpa, it's a humiliation. So we're saying that
Why would
Orla
that be, the helper that someone else? What do they do?
no, so we cannot give our daughter to somebody who has an Orla. That would be cherpa.
For us.
Yeah. But in it, there are many soides, there are many mysteries that are in that particular passage. Rabbeinu gets into it. And Rabbeinu says, a havan full of fallen love, a corrupted love, a pure love of Kodesh Baruch Hu that fell down to the place of the klippos, to the place of defilement. Rabbi Nanak explains a very, it's not, I don't know how complicated, it's complicated, whatever. It is known, where did the Yetzer Hara come from? How did the Kodesh Baruch Hu create the Yetzer Hara? What was the mechanism? How did it come about? One day Kodesh Baruch Hu did A, B, C. How did it come about? How was the Yetzer Hara created? We said that there were the primordial sefirot, spheres. It was simple. Chochmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, Mochel. And the result says that they were in a straight line, one on top of the other. Which means everybody had, each sphere had their own space. Chochmah is Chochmah. Bina is Bina. Das is Das. There was no interaction between them. Each one had, when the light of Kodesh Baruch Hu filled them, because they're kalim, the spheres are kalim, or vessels, or receptacles. The light of Kodesh Baruch Hu came. The light of Kodesh Baruch Hu is combined of all the spheres together. They shattered. The klei chesed, the kalim of the chesed shattered because they could not contain the light. We explained, give a mashal, it's like kalim, which is the primordial kalim is what they call moichin de katnus. It's constricted consciousness. It's like a child. If it's sweet, it is good. If it hurts, it is bad. Because the mind of a child is small. It cannot contain contradictions. Something that's sweet and is bad for me, how can it be? Something that hurts and it's good for me, how can that be? But when a person is a grown-up, he realizes, you eat a lot of sugar. Yeah, it's not healthy. It's not good for the teeth. And sometimes, getting a jab or going through some kind of a treatment or whatever it is, it might be uncomfortable, but it's good, right? I mean, it doesn't feel good, but it's good. And when you have Moichin de Gadlus, you have expanded consciousness, a consciousness of a mentality of a grown-up, you can contain two things which are contradictory. This is called Olam Atikon. That's the world. First of all, is before the Shvir, before the shattering of the Kalim, and then afterwards the Olam Atikon. What happens is that when the light was too much for the primordial Sfirot to contain, they broke. The entire process took place in Olam Atzilus. Those shards of Sefirot, those pieces of Sefirot, fell from Olam Atzilus to the sphere of the Bina in the world underneath it, which is Olam Abriya, because Atzilus, Briya, Yitzir, Asiya, right? So from Atzilus, the Klei Chesed broke, fell down to the Bina of the world below. Bechlal, Atzilus is considered the Chochmah, and Bechlal, the world of Bina, is considered the heart. Bina Lima, right? So the entire world of Bria, which is Olam Akisa, Olam of the throne, whatever it is called the heart. So now the Klei Chesed fell from the Atzilus and it fell down to the Bina in Olam Abriya. And the reason why that happened is because the Kodesh Baruch, the reason Kodesh Baruch Hu brought about the breakage of the kingdom is what happens when you give an 18 or 14 karat gold ring to a goldsmith. Okay? Now, 14 karat gold is not pure gold, right? Oh, it's nice, but it's not pure gold. What do you do in order to have 24 karat gold? What do? You want a pure gold. What do? You have to melt it down, right? And when you melt it down, you take away the impurities that lower from 24 to 18 or to 14 or whatever. And you end up with pure gold. The primordial Sefirot were broken in order to take the built-in impurities from them. That is possible only through the Tikkun. Don't ask me, okay, how can we create something with 14 of them? Let's not go there. It was just a muscle. But that's the reason for the Shvir Sakel. So from the impurities, from the constrictions of the kalim, because a keli is something which is made, to hold something, which means constrict something. That's gvura, that's opposite of Kodesh Baruch. So in order to fix it from those impurities came the Yetzer Hara. Then the kalim fell down to the Bria, they fell down to Yitzira, they fell down to Asiya, all over the place. As it says in Etz Chaim ki shviras klei chesed, the light of spheres of chesed, naflu el bina de Bria. This is what we said before. Which means the light of the spheres of chesed came to its, got into its keli in Olam Atzilus. The keli could not contain that light, was too much, and it broke. That keli fell to the sphere of the Bina and Olam Abriya. And as we said, the Bina and the heart is one and the same. Hainu Bina Liba, Bina and Liba, Bina and the Lev is the same thing. From those impurities that were intrinsic in the Kalim, that were now purified, became Havas Nefilus, becomes bad loves bad cravings, corrupted cravings. Afterwards, after everything's said and done, in Olam Atikon, in the world of rectification, the keli gets fixed. And it goes back up to its place in Olam Atzilus. But now it has already experienced the shattering, the fixing. So in people's world, something that was once it was broken, it's not the same as brand new, right? You know, when you're taking your Cadillac right out of the showroom when it's perfect. Once it breaks, okay, you fix it, but that's by human being. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he takes somebody who has never experienced anything, and he goes to some trials and tribulations in this world. If you hold yourself to a straight and narrow, all these experiences, they make you bigger. You know what I'm saying? You know more. You're able to handle more. Before you say, okay, now you're yeah, Betsy, all right. Going through things and coming back and coming out, you know, in one piece. I don't care if these pieces get pieced together with crazy glue. Gives you capabilities you never had before. Before the experience, you're brand new, right? Beautiful, you're young, everything's okay. Well, after the experience, you're not that young. But you are able to accept more. You are able to contain more. You're able to. So, Olam Atikun requires breakage and rectification. Breakage and fixing. Olam Atikun is far superior to the Sefirot before they were broken. Dafka, as they say, I don't know, Baal Shem Tov, who they say it, it says there's nothing more perfect than a broken Jewish heart, right? Because the Lev Nishbar is able to contain much more than a brand new heart that's never been through anything. Okay, so we said this is what happened to the Klei Chesed. The light comes first. The Chesed comes, the Kelim broke down. Okay, what about the light? So the light, you know, the Klei Chesed fell from Olam Atzilus completely, fell to the Bina. The light of the Chesed, Klei Chesed, ostensibly should have, you know, either remain by the level of the Chesed, go all the way back up to Kadosh Baruch Hu. No Keli, no light, right? No tiki, no shirty, you know? Can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. There's no keli for the light goes back, but that's not the way things are. Happens is that when the kelim fall down from the Klei Chesed of Atzilus, goes all the way down, Bria trickles down to Yitzir and Siyah. The light of the Chesed goes down also. It goes to the Chesed, the Yesod of Atzilus. The Yesod is the sphere where the light comes onto the mountains. The Malchus is imperfect now. Kele Chesed broke. The light is waiting at the Yesod. Why it has to come down from the Chesed all the way to the Yesod? The Kelim are all the way down in Bina of the Bria. What good does it do that the light remains in the Chesed of the Yesod in Atzilus? What good does it do? The answer is it's close to them. It watches over the Kelim. It follows them. It has Zachmanis on them. It's like when your kid goes to college and he has to go through whatever he has to go through, right? But you call the professors and ask how he's doing. You speak to whoever it is over this. How you don't mess with his life, but you keep an eye on him. You're close. You care in case there is something needs to be done. You keep in contact. Your kid has to go through whatever he has to go through. He has to experience whatever he's going to have to experience. He has to fail. He has to get up, and all these things has to go through. But you remain in contact. You're watching over. It's the light of the chesed in the yesod of the atzilus. Yesod is spheres of tzaddik, right? The tzaddik in the yesod. This is tzaddik yesod olam. The light of the chesed remains in the yesod atzilus. It's tzaddik yesod olam. It's the place of the Mishkan for the keli of the spheres yesod. So the light of the chesed, which is the holy love of Kodesh Baruch, is by the tzaddik. It's by the tzaddik. The impurities that were formed from the breakage of the Klei Chesed, they are in the heart of a person. They are in my heart. The tzaddik is in close contact with my Klei Chesed. Him having the Ahava K'dosha of Kodesh Baruch, the Malufa. My heart is broken. The bad loves, the corrupted loves, come from the breakage, the shattering of Klei Chesed, as we say. By the way, you can see an amazing thing. Onkelos, when he translated the Torah, he says, Ki cherpa lanu, that pasuk. It is cherpa for us to give our sister, someone has an orla. He says, Arei chisuda hilanu. It's a chisuda for us. What do you mean chisuda? Chisuda is l'shon chesed. So that's the breakage from Klei Chesed. That's a havas rosh. Onkelos, Ruach HaKodesh. Ki cherpa, han oretz halev is bad love that comes from the breakage from the shards of. And we see, as long as the love is there, even though the shame is there, people can sort of like exist. Rabbeinu says, love covers a multitude of sins. If two friends, one of them is, does something wrong to his friend, so his friend, doesn't, get out against him. Why? Because he loves them. What happens if the love between them spoils? Then he really gives him, and now he really lets him have it. And with this we will finish. When the heart is steeped in shame, and of it's connected to the Yud, to the Nakuda, to the Tzaddik. This is where the light or Ahava resides. Because a lot of the chesed, we said before, remains in the Yesod Atzilus. Azai, what that does, it cancels out the bad shame, the Avos Cherpas, or Salim. Tzaddik, who is the Nakuda, there resides our Avos. He will shine to the vault. He will shine to where you are. And that cancels out the Cherpa, or Salim. There is the Hava K'dosha. I want to repeat something that you asked a couple of weeks ago, and it's a good thing to repeat that. I've been using that. Dad Shurim. You asked, how does that actually wipe away the Cherpa? What? The Ora Hava, the light of the Hava. How does it wipe away? How does it fix the Hava? Cherpa is Cherpa. I did something wrong. I mean, what does it makes it right all of a sudden? It doesn't, because how does it work? So the answer.
How do you get rid of the HEPA?
What?
I get rid of it.
So what we said was that what it does, it shows the cherpa in on itself is not necessarily bad. Shame has a role. If I did something wrong and I don't feel shame, I will never ever do tshuva. So shame is a very important, ingredient. But when it's toxic, when that shame brings me to mark a big X over myself and say, forget about it, and don't have a chance anymore. Let me just give it all up. Then the shame is toxic. But when the tzaddik shines the or of ahava, and he tells me, listen, he shines that thing into my heart. As I said before, my heart, where did the light in my heart come from? The light of the tzaddik tells me, listen, have you ever been in different any other time in your life? And says, no, I was always like that. It also shines to you to say, listen, the Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu is elevated through people like me, the people like you. Matan Torah did not occur until Yisrael came, biggest Ovid of Adazar in the world. This is now I know that Hashem is king. Hashem is the one. So it says that you have to lift it up to Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu more than anything else. I went and I did whatever I went and I did. His Baruch Hu has a kavanah in this. I did wrong, yeah, but nevertheless, it can be turned into something really fabulous if I keep my eye on the ball. If I keep on keeping on and realize that the shame has a purpose and I don't give up, then the shame becomes a keli for something unbelievable. Coming closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu the way I could never come before. But if I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't do anything wrong. Everything's okay. I'm not really getting closer, I'm not getting further, whatever it is. It's like, and with this we'll finish, it's like you have two friends, okay? They love each other very much. And it's not this regular reality. One day, for some reason, they get into an argument. They become really upset with one another. I'm never going to talk to him for as long as I live, or at least as long as he lives. And this guy, I can't believe this guy is so-and-so, whatever. And then after some time, somebody comes and tells, goes in between and says, they told you your friend said whatever it is, it wasn't really like that. And goes to the other one, he also, and sort of like, they begin to change, maybe I was too quick to judge, When the peace is done between the two friends, they get together again after this long period of being upset with one another. They hug. And he says, I missed you so much during all this time. The love that is between them now is a lot more demonstrative, a lot deeper than it was before. Before it was okay, it's my friend. But if there was something happened between us and then became peace again, the connection becomes that much stronger. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a child that does whatever it is that you want all the time. Oh, Hashem, a good kid. But when there is a kid that got lost, went off wandering, and he came back, or she came back, good kid, came back good. You love that child more than all of them. Dafka because they went through this whole journey, you know what I'm saying? making sure that the cherpa does not become toxic, but always becomes something that they can spur you to growth, is what the light of Ahava Kedosha does from the tzaddik. That's what it does to you. Ahava Kedosha, the light of the holy love that resides by the tzaddik, is Ahavas Hashem, and he's the one who gives it to you. And the effect on you is that you never give up on yourself. You never give up on the tzaddik. You never give up on the Kodesh Baruch Hu, no matter what happens. At the end, you do a whole circle. You do a whole full circle. You come back to Kodesh Baruch Hu a lot better than you ever were before, with a connection to Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is much stronger than you ever was before. At Kan Kofa Aleph, B'ezrat Hashem. I want to wish everybody good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Oh.
And Hashem, we will meet.